Alrighty, folks. Welcome back to Salt City Counseling. Gonna scoot in. Get nice and close to the microphone. Once again, my name is Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. If you are new here, I hope you will subscribe. I'm gonna start getting my feet wet in a certain area of human behavior that I've previously sort of avoided. I'm not exactly sure why I've avoided it. I don't know. Maybe it's because, I feel like my perspective on relationships is one that maybe a lot of people don't necessarily want to hear. But let's be honest. Here in 2021, our relationships are kind of a dumpster fire. Just saying. Honestly, I feel like we have forgotten how to love. I was writing an article about this today. I'll probably put the link in the description below, but you can just go to wisdomandbrews.com. It'll be up. I'm going to publish it here in the next little while, I think. That's the plan, anyways. So wisdomandbrews.com, you can go read my article on how we have forgotten how to love and why, and that our relationships are disastrous because we have become too controlling in our relationships because I feel like I really believe that just from where I sit, right, as a clinician, as a therapist, that people listen to fear, that they just listen to too much fear. And when you approach your relationship from that fear angle or from that standpoint of fear, it's not going to go well. It's just not. And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to explain why that is. And quite frankly, personally, I've avoided relationships. I've gotten to the point in my life where I like freedom, and I don't see freedom in relationships that go together anymore. Like I feel like every relationship that I see, not only as a clinician, but like on a personal level, it's revolves around a lot of control and a lot of jealousy and like a lot of blame and a lot of finger pointing, a lot of resentment, and I don't. Who wants that? I don't understand why people choose into that. To me, I just see people in relationships and they're suffering, right? And as a clinician, I actually refuse to do couples counseling. I refuse. And from time to time, I have people that will contact me and they'll ask me, "Do you do couples counseling?" And I don't know. I don't. Sorry, you'll have to go find someone that does. And the main reason why I would do couples counseling, honestly, like if people called and were like, "I need to know how to overcome my fear and put more love into my relationship." Because I know that if I put more love into my relationship, that's what I'm going to get back. I know that change starts with me. That never happens. People that go to couples counseling are usually looking for a therapist to help them control their partner, right? Usually the person that contacts a therapist is trying to get the therapist to take their side to just, I'm powerful now. Look at me. I got the therapist here taking my side now. Fortunately, a lot of people, that's what they go into couples counseling looking for. I also know that a lot of people, I supervise a gentleman that does couples counseling, and he'll tell me the stories about how people will show up and it's like their fourth marriage counselor in the last 18 months, and they go, "We're not going to get a divorce, so don't tell us to get a divorce. Now help me control that person," right? And what is happening, right? And so I'm going to talk about why I feel like why people's relationships are disastrous, why they're just filled with fear and anger and resentment, and that they're falling apart, and that people are unhappy with each other. I'm going to share some of those elements. I also wrote an article about it. Like I said, go check out wisdomandbrews.com for more of that. I'm also going to be publishing some videos. I just feel like it's time to okay, people, if you want a good relationship, here's what you got to do. And there's a lot of radical acceptance involved. And radical acceptance is a therapy skill pulled from DBT, or dialectical behavioral therapy, that just basically states that you must radically accept that certain things are true. And it doesn't do any good to bellyache. Well, I haven't heard or used that term in a while. For you youngins, bellyaching means to complain. It doesn't do any good to sit around and gripe and moan and complain and bellyache about how this is supposed to work and the world is supposed to be this way and other people should do what I think that they should do. That's not going to do you any good. Radical acceptance is the act of saying, I radically accept that this absolutely positively is not working. Period. And if I want it to work, I have to radically accept that I might be the problem, and I have to radically accept that it's up to me to start making some changes. So I'm gonna get more into that. Why I feel like people only have these elements, these negative elements in their relationships, and then down the road, I'm gonna be doing a series of videos on what to do instead. On what you can do instead. So make sure that you subscribe, man. Hit the notification bell, like, share, all that stuff. You know what to do. If you really like my content, please hit the tip jar, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Viewer questions. I love viewer questions. You can leave them in the comment section below. Send me an email, scottc@saltcitycounseling.com. Let's see. Any other housekeeping? I have several courses on high conflict custody and divorce over at one of my websites, highconflictcommunity.com. I created that website specifically for people in that. I'll be honest, that website needs a lot of work. It is a very, very challenging area of work. I only do it mainly because I know people need it and it pays okay. I can get decent money out of providing some of those specialty services, but I prefer to move away from it in the long run, frankly. Anyways, so let's get into this. I see people's relationships where, like, it's just their relationships are bad. Maybe a person's relationship history has been pretty chaotic or dysfunctional or whatever, right? And I'll tell you the elements that I see that the common threads that I see in every relationship gone down the crapper, and it is that people approach their relationships from a fear mindset. There's a lot of what ifs. What if they leave me? What if they're only pretending to love me? What if they're talking to someone on the side? And the more that you listen to your fear, the more you're going to respond with other things, such as anger, right? Afraid people are controlling people. They just are. The more afraid someone is, the more controlling they are. Number two is afraid people that approach their relationships with fear have a lot of anger. They're always angry. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? They tend to become hyper focused on a person's mistakes and their flaws and their setbacks, and quite frankly, people's relationships turn into a Turkish prison. Like, if you had a job every day that all they did was comb through all of your mistakes and tell you why you're such a horrible employee, you'd be like, peace out, man. I'm out of here. And unfortunately, a lot of people's relationships and a lot of marriages have deteriorated into that. People can choose to focus on what they love about their partners, choose the positives. Be honest with yourself. Do you really expect people to be perfect? Do you really expect them to not make mistakes or do exactly what you think that they should do, what you want them to do? That's controlling, right? No, people don't have an obligation to live exactly how another person thinks that they should, or make exactly the decisions that the other person that they should. Like, and I know that people fall into that mindset indeliberately, but when they get in that controlling mindset, it's like, that's kind of narcissistic to think that arbitrarily you're the one that gets to determine how everybody should act. But this usually trickles down to the kids. The kids never get praised. Kids have steep learning curves in life. They make tons of mistakes, and unfortunately, the controlling person is intolerant of those mistakes. Okay, and so along with all of that, right, the resentment builds. Resentment is low burning hate, right? It's just like, I secretly hate you, and with resentment, they're scorekeeping, right? Well, remember the time you did this, or remember the time that you did that, okay? And when your relationship is based on the fear and the anger and the control and all of those things, of course it's a disaster. Of course it's going to be rough. Of course it's going to be dysfunctional, right? And so I just make the argument that we have forgotten how to love. We've forgotten how to be in relationships. We have forgotten how to be in amazing, loving, and incredible relationships. And quite frankly, as long as we listen to our fear in a relationship sense, the more it's just going to be disastrous. You can leave one relationship that fell apart because of all those fear-based elements, And if you go into a new relationship with those fear-based elements, you're going to get the same result, man. You just start. It's so important to stop listening to your fear. But I talk about this in so many of my other videos in regards to different topics. It's just like the same problem with every area of dysfunction, is that people are listening to that frantic, afraid mindset. That's that spinny, frantic mind, right? And the more that you listen to that, the more things are just going to be challenging and difficult, okay? And Albert Einstein said you can't fix a problem with the same mindset that created it. And so if you go into a relationship, couples counseling with the same mindset that helped create this problem, it's like trying to fix a broken vase using a hammer, right? You're just gonna make more problems out of it. So I'm gonna do a series on how to love, again, how to love in your relationships and what that looks like. So make sure that you subscribe, man. And so thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.